Hello everyone from Math 1340, Statistics. It's Professor Wenson here again with a video on section 2.4, box plots. So you hopefully by now know where to find the link to the OpenStax book and be able, or just go to openstax.org and read section 2.4. Also where to find the page for section 2.4 in Canvas, and where I have some YouTube videos posted. So I'm just going to start off right away into the KnewtonAlta homework for section 2.4. So here I am. All right, now this is, again, you're not going to see preview. It'll just be title, section 2.4 box plots, your mastery bar, the objectives, and your progress on these objectives. All right, so this is the first objective I'm seeing is find the 5-number summary of a data set. Now, you saw the words 5-number summary show up in the last section, just wasn't a specific objective. That's the minimum value of a set, the maximum value of a set, and then the 3 quartiles. First quartile, the second quartile, which is the median, and the third quartile, which is the 75th percentile. But I'll go to more instruction. All right, first time I'm seeing this objective. So like I said, the 5-number summary is descriptive statistics that provides information about the 5 most important percentiles from the data set. The sample minimum, right, the lowest value, the first quartile, which is the 25th percentile, the second quartile, which is the median, the third quartile, which is the 75th percentile, and the sample maximum, right, which is the largest value. The sample minimum and sample maximum are the 2 values that show the range of the data set, right? The range is the difference between the max and the min. And I already talked about the percentiles, right? The how-to. Now you can do this several ways. Here they're saying find the minimum, the maximum, which should be easy. Find the median, and the median will cut the set into 2 halves, a lower half and an upper half. And of course you got to rearrange the set from least to greatest to do this. And then the first quartile is the middle number of the lower half, the median of the lower half. The third quartile is the middle number of the upper half, or the median of the upper half. Or you could just find them the way we did last section, find the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile the way we did in the last section, section 2.3. All right, so their first example, I have this data set, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 8, 10, and 19. They want the 5-number summary of this data set. The minimum value is 1. The maximum, now it's in order from least to greatest, which is great. You're going to want to put things in order from least to greatest. 1, 19. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 values here, so the median is exactly in the middle, right? Is the number 6. All right, so there's the median. And you see how the median cuts the data set into 2 equal halves. You have 4 below it, 4 above it. So this lower half, 1, 2, 4, 5, the middle of that would be the average of 2 and 4. That'd be 3. So 3 is the first quartile. And then the upper half is 8, 8, 10, 19. The middle number there is the average of 8 and 10, right, which would be 9. So 9 would be the third quartile. So 1, 3, the first quartile, 6 is the median, 9 is the third quartile, and 19 is the maximum. All right, I gotta see. Let's see. Third quartile 9, first quartile 3, minimum value 1, maximum value 19, median 6. Now, when there's now here's where we're finally getting into a time when we're using a frequency list. Before I get to that example, let me show you how to do this on the calculator as well. And I think I've shown you this before in section 2.3. Let me just show you here. So I'm going to enter this list of data and bring it up on the calculator in a second. Okay, so here's the calculator, and I've entered these 9 values on the page here. And once you've entered a list of values, a single list, you can have the calculator find this 5-number summary for you. All right, so I get out of here, go back to the main calculation screen. then, again, once you have a list entered, that's list 1, I hit stat, and I move over to calculate, and then since I've got just the one variable, right, the one set of data, I'm going to go one variable stats. Just hit enter on number 1 there, and then which list do I want to do one variable stats on? Calculate the statistics for, and it's already set up at list 1. Now, if you want to do a different list, you're going to have to enter other lists. Like if I do this, that's Z. I don't know. If I wanted list 2, I'd go second 2. Right, there's list 2, but it was list 1. Right, so second 1, there's list 1. Frequency list we'll get to in a minute. All right, you'll see in the next example there's a frequency list problem, but for right now there is no frequency list. Right, it's just this one simple list of data. Everything's counted one time on the page here. And then I go calculate, and then up pops a bunch of numbers. But if you scroll down, you'll eventually see the 5-number summary. See, there's 9 values, and here's the 5-number summary. The minimum value is 1, the first quartile is 3, the median is 6, the third quartile is 9, and the maximum value is 19. Simple as that. It pops up right away with this one variable stats, one var stats. Okay. So now, let's go to this next example that they talk about. You see how there's 2 columns here? And one of them is a frequency column telling you how many of these values, these data values, I have. So the following frequency table summarizes a set of data. What is the 5-number summary? Now let me show you what this would mean here. All right. I'm going to bring up a piece of paper, right, and we're gonna, I'll be next to this, bring this up. Right. So put that down maybe a little bit. Okay. So hopefully you can see this, my piece of paper. So I've got the values and frequencies. Now, the data set, if I write it in order from least to greatest, would look like the following. See that first row? These are the data values in the first column, and then the frequencies, how many there are in the second column. So the first row says there are 3 2s in my data set. So the data set has 3 2s, 2, 2, 2. Then there are 3 3s. All right, then there's 1 4. Then there's 1 5 and 1 7 and 4 8s and 3 10s. All right, 3 10s and 1 11 and 2 12s. This data set that I've just written is represented by this table with the frequencies and everything. So how many are there? Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18. There are 19 values, right? There are 19 values. The minimum value is 2, clearly. The maximum value is 12, right? The largest value is 12. The median is pretty easy, right? Remember, this is an odd number of values, right? 19. So the 10th value cuts it nicely in half. The 10th value is the median. So there's the median right here. The median is 8. And you see how the median cuts it into 2 halves. Everything below the median, it's like the lower half, and then everything above the median is the upper half. Now the lower half has, 9 values. There are 9 values below the median. 9 is an odd number. So just the number in the middle is the first quartile. All right, so the first quartile is the number in the middle of these 9, which would be the fifth value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. The first quartile is 3. And then all the numbers above the median, above this 8, there are 9 of those too, right? Should be half and half. Should be the same number below the median as there is above. Now there are also 9 values above, so the fifth value, this value here, is the third quartile, right? The middle of the upper half. So 10. Now you could have also done the 25th percentile, right? Remember how I find the 25th percentile? Take 25 out of 100 times n plus 1 times 20. This is 5. So the fifth value, like I said, the fifth value is just 3, is the first quartile. That's a whole number. You don't have to do averages. And then the 75th percentile, right? 75 out of 100 times n plus 1 times 20. That's 15, the 15th value, and that's a nice whole number. So you just go to the 15th value, which is this 10. That's the third quartile. So you could have found them in the way that you did in section 2.3 as well. But here it is. This is the 5-number summary of that set of data, 2, 3, 8, 10, and 12, with all the quartiles there. All right, so that's how you could do it by hand. Now I'm going to show you how to do it on the calculator. All right, we'll pull that up here. Let's get rid of this. Now I'm going to enter these 2 columns. I'm going to enter one column of data for the data values, and then another list of data with the frequencies. All right, so I'll be right back with that. All right, so here I've entered the, see down in my calculator here, list 1 is the values, the data values, and list 2 is the frequencies, how many times they're counted, how many of those values do I have. All right, so to have the calculator do the 5-number summary for the data values, right, only the data values, not the frequencies. The frequencies are just telling me how many times these data values in list 1 are being counted. So it's still technically only one list of numbers here. I get out of here, and then I go back to the same area, go stat, over to calculate, and I know there's 2 lists. Right? I know there are 2 lists, but one of them is just frequencies. One of them is not the actual data itself. There's only one list that has the actual data values, so I'm still going to one variable stats. And which list had the data values? All right, it was L1. And then now this is one of the few times where you're seeing a frequency list be put in. Remember that was list 2, L2. I go second, L2. Right? List 2 had how many times all those values in list 1 were counted. So now I enter list 1, list 1 for the list, and frequency list 2, or whatever list you had it in, and I go calculate. And you see how n equals 19 here? Right? There are 19 values, as you saw on my piece of paper, right, when I did it on paper. Let me get rid of this here, and you see that, remember there were 19 values, right? So it counted all of them. So back to this, there are 19 values, and I scroll down, and the minimum value is 2, first quartile 3, median 8, third quartile 10, and maximum value 12. The same numbers I got doing it by hand. All right, so going back to the assignment here, and they show you down here 2, 3, 8, 10, 12. All right, and you see they wrote it out like I did on my piece of paper. All right, and some key terms. Great. All right, so let's continue on. Let me get the calculator out of here. So now we're asked to actually do it with another example. All right, now you got to be careful. Now it says the data below are the monthly average high temperatures for New York City. So it should be 12 of them if they're months, 3, 6, 9, 12 of them, right? What is the 5-number summary? Now don't look at it like this. All right, this is not good. And the reason is because they're not in order from least to greatest. All right. So again, I'm going to just pull up the calculator after I've entered these in, and and have the calculator just do it for me. All right. So I'll come back with those. All right, so I've entered those 12 temperatures, those 12 monthly average high temperatures for the 12 months. Then I get out of here, go stat, calc. All right, make sure list one. Now there is no frequency list this time. All right, so I clear that, clear that away, and then we'll calculate. And scroll down. See, there's only 12 values. N equals 12, and then the lowest of the temperatures is 40. First quartile 45, median 63, third quartile 77, maximum 84. Again, you could have done it by hand as well. Put them in order from least to greatest by hand, and did all that on a piece of paper as well. So it looks like that matches. Let's see, min 40, max 84, then 45, 63, 77. Looks like it's this second one here, with the first quartile, median, and third quartile all correct. All right, great. Yeah, so easy to have the calculator do it, because it can be a bit tedious writing all this stuff out by hand. All right. So next question, I have a new objective. All right. Construct and understand box and whisker plots. All right, so I'll click on more instruction. Right, now I'll go back to my previous example. All right, a box and whisker plot. It's just a picture showing you basically the 5-number summary. And the box is created from the first quartile to the third quartile with a little line where the median would be. And then you have whiskers, right, with little segments that stretch out from the third quartile to the maximum and from the first quartile to the minimum. All right, so let me show you an example. All right, let's take a look at, here was that last data set that I had written down. All right, this was the one with the table and the frequencies and all that. So here's a data set of 19 values, all right, from 2 to 12 here. Here's the 5-number summary that I found, right? This was earlier. Now I can take this 5-number summary and create what's called a box and whisker plot for this set of data. All right. So box and whisker. Now this can be vertical, it can be horizontal. It's really up to you, your preference. So I make a number line here. Make a number line, and who knows? Maybe I have see the min is 2, max is 12. I'll just have it start at 0. You can start wherever you want. It's just a number line. Let's have it go 0, and then 1, 2, 3, evenly spaced, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right, whatever. And I'll mark off some of these numbers. All right. Then above this number line, again, this could be horizontal, it could be vertical, whichever you wish. Above this number line, I'll mark off where the 5-number summary for the data appears. The minimum value is 2, so I'll put a little dot there for now. The first quartile of the data set was 3. Put a little dot there. The median is 8, so above 8. And I'll keep them all on the same level for now. Third quartile is 10. All right. And then the maximum 12. All right. So here's how this is created. From the first quartile to the third quartile, so from 3 to 10, you create a box, a rectangle. Just from the first quartile to the third quartile. And then inside that box should be the median, right? There was a median at 8. Usually a little line goes there. So there's your box, again, from the first quartile to the third quartile. That represents the middle 50%. Remember, it's the 25th to the 75th percentile. That's the middle 50% of the data, where the middle 50% lies. And then the whiskers are simply draw a little segment from the right of the box to the maximum, and then a whisker, a segment from the left of the box to the minimum. This is called, what I've just drawn, a box and whisker plot for this set of data. all right, where your minimum, your maximum, and all the quartiles are represented. Okay. And I'll also show you, we'll see later, there's an objective where you have to do this on your calculator, so I'll show you how to do this on the TI-8384. All right. All right. Okay. And I think I mentioned the range was, the maximum value minus the minimum value. And you saw interquartile range last section. That's the difference between the third and first quartiles, Q3 minus Q1. So that definition's coming back as well. All right, so you see this one's vertical. Ooh, all right, not a huge difference. Just, you got a number line over here, and then the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum are all represented in this plot, in this graph. So given the following box and whisker plot, which statements are true? All right, select all that apply. Approximately 50% of the data lies between 0 and 100. Well, 0 and 100. Well, remember, these are quartiles. The distance between each of these is supposed to represent 25% of the data set, or approximately 25% of the data set. So you see how 0 to 100 is shorter than from 0 to the first quartile, the bottom of the box. So that means that 0 to 100, there's less than 25%, right? The distance between two quartiles is 25%, representing 25% of the data set. So from the minimum to the first quartile, that's 25%. From the first quartile to the median is 25%. From the median to the third quartile, that little distance there is 25%. And then this tiny one here, from the third quartile to the maximum, is 25%. So no, that's false. There's less than 25% of the data between 0 and 100. There is a potential outlier in the lower half of the data set. Well, remember potential outliers. The interquartile range was the distance between the first and third quartiles. You take that distance and multiply it by 1.5, and then subtract it from the first quartile. If you're lower than that, you're an outlier. And if you add to the third quartile 1.5 of the interquartile range, and you're above that, then you're an outlier. It looks like, let's see if I'm guessing here, this is about what, maybe 125 to almost 200. This distance is like 75, 70-ish. So it looks like if I took one of that box and then half of that box, I'm thinking this value down here is actually more than 1.5. The width of the box, the height of the box, is the interquartile range from Q1 to Q3. So 1.5 of those boxes, I don't know if I don't think that would reach the bottom here. So I'm going to say yeah to that one. All right. Maybe I'll recalculate later. The interquartile range is approximately 190 minus 130. Yeah, I'd say so. Because remember, the top of the box here is Q3. So yeah, let's say it's about 190, sure. The bottom of the box is Q1. Sure, that's about 130. So that's about 60. So I'd say yes, Q1 minus Q3. The median is approximately 175. Yeah, that's the median is this bar in the middle of the box. That's about halfway between 150 and 200. So I'll say all three of these are true. All right, and again, they go through the explanations, barely. All right, but that's a box and whisker plot. All right, here's a bunch stacked on top of one another, and that's what this is something that's good about box and whisker plots, is they're useful in comparing data sets to see how far spread certain data sets compared to other data sets. So here, the monthly average high temperatures for New York City have the following 5-number summary. The minimum is 40 degrees, median is 63. The third quartile is 77. The interquartile range is 32, and the maximum is 84. Which of these shows the correct box and whisker plot? All right, so this isn't even comparing. You're just picking which one would be correct. Now, notice they gave me the minimum is 40, right? So the lower end of the box and whisker plot is going to be at 40, so it's either A, C, or D. The median, which will be the middle of the box, is at 63. So again, A. Now notice C here, if the median and the first quartile are the same number, which they can be, you'll see a single box with no bar in it. So this could be where the median is. So I'm still saying A, C, or D at 63. Third quartile, 77, still A, C, or D. Right, the top of the box, the right of the box. And the maximum is at 84, which all these have. So it's still either A, C, or D. So all I'm missing, all I'm missing is the first quartile. All right, now the first quartile. They said the interquartile range is 32. Remember, the interquartile range is the distance between Q1 and Q3. So from the first quartile to 77 is a difference of 32. So what's 77 minus 32? That'd be 45. So the first quartile would be at 45. That looks like A to me, right? A is the only one where the left of the box is above 45. So A would be the correct box and whisker plot for that. Right? It was a little tricky because they didn't give you the first quartile, but they did give you interquartile range, right, between Q1 and Q3. All right, another question. Now this one is one of those where you have to move the dots around. Right? Now the nice thing is they give you the 5-number summary. A data set lists the number of gutter balls bowled by each player in a bowling tournament. For this set of data, the minimum is 0, first quartile 1, median 2, 3, third quartile is 3, and the maximum is 7. Construct a box and whisker plot showing the number of gutter balls and drag the dots. So the minimum value, the low end here, above 0. The first quartile, the left of the box here, above 1. Oop, looks like. Alright, looks like the whiskers. It looks like when you move the box, it pushes the whiskers. Alright, so let's arrange the box first. So first quartile 1, the median 2. Oh geez, this is annoying. Oh, I see. It is helpful to set the median first. Maybe I should have read the instructions. Alright, so the median's 2. Alright, move the first quartile back to 1. Alright, so it looks like you move stuff around the median, and then 0 is the minimum, that's good. First quartile is 1, median's 2. The third quartile is already there, it's above 3, and the maximum is 7. So it moves based on the median, right? Helpful to set up the median first. Read your instructions, right? And submit. There's your box and whisker plot for that set of data with that 5-number summary. All right. And the question, based on that box and whisker plot, what is the range? Remember, range is the maximum minus the minimum. So 7 minus 0. So just 7. Just enter 7. All right. Great. All right, so this one I've already shown you how to do. This is a 5-number summary. So remember, this is with frequencies now. So you enter one list, you enter the frequency list, and then have the calculator do one variable stats where you have a list entered and a frequency list, and then go down. And so I'm just going to do an instructor cheat here. You've seen me do a problem like this already. All right, and the same thing here. Enter a list, a frequency list, do one variable stats and a calculator. So I'm just going to instructor cheat again. That's this first one. Now you could also do it by hand where you write out 2 7s and 3 8s and 2 10s and so on, and do it that way like I did by hand with that one. But yeah. Just going to cheat on that one. Right? You're not going to be able to cheat. You have to do it. But you've seen me do one, so it's the same way. It's the same thing every time. All right, and one more. Here's just one more like that. Same thing with a list of data values and how many times those data values show up. All right, so I'm done with that objective. I got one more objective, which is using the calculator. All right, so it's the same stuff where here's a set of data, and it says use a calculator to create a box and whisker plot. So an organization that let me just go to now. It's a new objective. All right, so I'm going to click on more instruction, new instruction, and how to and they go through and it goes through the how to create a box and whisker plot on your TI calculator. All right, and going through an example. All right, so let's get to a problem and show you that. All right, so here we have a company is hiring people for a data entry position. The faster they can type, the better. In interviewing prospective employees, the hiring manager has acquired a sample of typing speeds in words per minute, or WPM, from a test he offers as part of the interview process. He decides that it is wise to analyze the data to get a sense of how fast people can type. The data is provided below. Construct a box and whisker plot for the data set using the calculator. Now this is a multiple choice where you choose the correct one based on what shows up in your calculator. All right, so here's how I'm going to. All right, so I'm going to come back with you in a second, and I'll have this list of typing speeds entered in my calculator. Okay, so I got the calculator brought up here, and all the values are entered, all 15 of them. And be careful, right? Don't take too long, but try to make sure that you're entering, maybe go back through, scroll back through, make sure you actually have all the values correct in there. All right, so I've got the table, all the typing speeds entered. So I get out of there, quit. And remember all the graphs we've made before, histograms, bar graphs, line graphs. You go to stat plot, second stat plot. And again, I'll just go to plot 1, make sure it's on. Then the type, right? This second type was line graphs. The third type up top here was bar graphs. You're going to go down, scroll right until you get to the 5th type. That 5th type that's flashing there, hit enter. That's a box and whisker plot. All right. So the 5th type, and then what's the list? Well, that's X. That's just L1, right? I had it down L1. And again, there's no frequency list, so just leave the frequency at 1. All right. If there was a frequency list, you'd enter a frequency list, but there's no frequency list, so leave it at 1. So I get out of here, and then I just go zoom, hit number 9 for zoom stat. And there you go. There's the box and whisker plot that shows up for this data. And if you want to see the 5-number summary, right, hit trace, like how you got onto the line graphs and bar graphs and histograms, just hit trace, and you can see the median is 68.6. And then when you move the cursor left and right, it'll move you to the different parts of the box. There's the middle of the box. There's Q1, right, the first quartile at the left of the box, 61. Further left, you got the minimum value, 55.8. Move back to the right, again, first quartile, median. Third quartile is 87.8. And the maximum is 121.2. All right. But going back to the assignment here, the one now it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that either. Actually, the thing it looks closest to is the second. Now the median 68.6. All right, so pay attention to the medians too. Median 68.6. Right, back on the calculator. The median is 68.6, so it's not. So it can't be C or D here. It can't be the third or fourth. Of these two, you see how it's like the whisker on the right is longer here? On the first choice, the whiskers look about the same length. Same thing for both sides of the box, look about the same width. This second picture looks more close to the picture on my calculator. You see where the right side of the box is longer and the right whisker is longer than the left whisker. All right, so that second picture looks like it matches my calculator image the best. All right. Okay. So and that's pretty much all you're going to be asked to do. I mean, you probably have questions about that too. So here's another one. Now these numbers are pretty big, but hey, you got time. So put a box and whisker plot. What is the value of the first quartile? All right. So now you don't need a box and whisker plot, but you can just find the 5-number summary. What's the first quartile of all these numbers? So you enter these into a list, do that one variable stats, or you can make a box and whisker plot, under stat plot like I just did. So I'm just going to cheat on this. I've already shown you how to find the first quartile, and it goes through and gives you the answer explanation and all that. Same thing here. Make a box and whisker plot. What is the value of the third quartile? So I would enter these numbers, graph a box and whisker plot, hit trace, move around it. You saw me do that already. Or just enter this list of numbers and go one variable stats and look for the third quartile. All right, so that should end up being 9 for this one. Again, you're going to see different problems, but the way you do them is the same, and here's the explanation there. You can pause it here if you want to read that. And I got one more, which is exactly the same. All right, this one is just a matching one. All right, now you got to be careful with this one. Again, please read carefully. After you enter after you enter the data, right? Enter this list of data, and create a box and whisker plot like I did. Hit zoom stat. After you hit zoom stat, change the window to this, right? They want you to have these window settings. So you hit the window button. Right, you would hit the window button, and then change the X min to this, X max to that. If they have specified settings like they do here, change the window to those settings, and then see which one matches, which one looks like the one that looks like the first one. Again, you do that on your own. You've seen me do it. Enter this list, go to stat plot, make sure you're in that 5th type for a box and whisker plot, and then after you hit zoom stat, after you graph it, zoom stat, go to window, change it to these settings. It should look exactly like this with a median of 8.08 or whatever numbers you have. Again, you're going to see different numbers, different kinds of problems, but the way you do them is the same. All right, so then I think that's it for this section. Right, your 5-number summary: minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum. And then a graph that involves the 5-number summary, this box and whisker plot to represent a set of data, and how to make it on your calculator. And you've seen me do all that here today. All right. So if if you have any questions, of course, let me know. Hopefully this helps you out when you go through your own assignment, right? You can use this video as a guide. And of course, read the OpenStax book as well. Practice problems there, examples there, and watch videos in the Canvas page, or look up videos on your own on these topics. And hope you get through section 2.4 pretty well. And thank you very much for watching.